Hey, greetings everybody, and welcome to another edition of Jamie's Journeys. And today we are coming to you from Cartagena, Colombia. Now, Cartagena is situated on the mainland of the country of Colombia, which can be found in the southwest part of the Caribbean Sea. This is a city that is rich in history dating back to the 1500s. It's rich in culture, wonderful architecture, and so much to see. So thank you for joining me on another Jamie's Journey. Let's get started. Well, right now I want to introduce you to my special traveling companion today, who is an anthropologist, a storyteller, and expert on South American culture and history, among other things. This is Terry Breen. Terry, thanks for joining me.
I'm thrilled to be here. We're in Cartagena.
I'm so thrilled to be here with you. We were here last time a couple of years ago, and I was just so amazed with the walking and talking with you about the city. I invited you to come along today.
Got to do it all over again on a beautiful day.
Yeah. So we're standing just inside the main gates of the old city, in front of a statue. Now, there's many statues in town, but this gentleman commemorates where it all began.
The founding of the city. So Pedro de Heredia. And so he was the one that came from Spain as a conquistador and established the city in 1533.
Now, the name of the city, Cartagena, there's a city in Spain
España,
called
sí.
Cartagena.
That's right. So they didn't want to get confused, and so he actually named it in honor of Cartagena in Old Spain because that was his home city. And so they were trying to massage the name so that people wouldn't get confused, and they decided that they were going to call it Cartagena of the Indies, because everybody thought that they had found the Indies when they first came here.
Yeah, not exactly correct. All right. So now this city really grew quickly and it became a very prosperous city, yeah?
At one time, it was considered the most wealthy city in the world, and that's because of all the gold and silver that was coming up from Peru.
And it was also part of the slave trade, right? A dropping off point and shipping out point, right?
Actually, that's true. There were only two cities in New Spain that were allowed to import in slaves and to trade slaves. It was this, Cartagena, and Veracruz in Mexico.
Yeah, all right. Another part of the wonderful, not so wonderful history here. All right, we're going to continue on, and let's go to our next stop. All right, just walking the old streets. Terry, there's a lot of colorful things to buy here. Just darling.
My eye is definitely drawn. I'm checking these out myself.
Yeah, and already we've seen lots of hats. Now, I would call these Panamanian hats. Are these Panama hats?
There actually are Panama hats, but Panama hats aren't made here, nor are they made in Panama. They're actually from Ecuador.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they're from the town of Montecristi.
Okay, so you can get a Panamanian hat, but it's not a genuine Panamanian hat. Also, what we notice about the streets is that none of the streets are really straight.
That's right, and that was by design, because as we're looking here up the street, you can't see the end, because the street just very, very gradually curves, and that way, if somebody had been able to get through the walls and started to make their way into the city, they were able to be cut off or ambushed because you couldn't see the end and somebody could be laying in wait on the other side. And so it's very deliberate. All the streets are very subtly angled.
Really?
I think it's great, yeah.
Well, it makes it especially nice for walking, too.
Yeah, well, look at all...
Or riding. Or pushing a cart. Or whatever you want to do.
Or shopping.
Oh, that's pretty, too, with the two.
Yeah, that's gorgeous.
Yeah. the streets are bustling here, aren't they?
Busy. Yep.
I tell you, and you know, more hats. There's always more hats. But you know what? I find myself getting my camera in and out all the time because the architecture is so beautiful.
It really is, and just the sun starting to go down and great shadows, perfect for photographs. Look at the knocker on that door there, the door handle.
Very
gorgeous. It's a fish. It's gorgeous.
Anyway, behind us is a beautiful church. What is this?
That's San Pedro Claver, and so he is the patron saint of African slaves. He was a Jesuit, and he came in the late 1500s. And he ministered to all of the slaves that were starting to come in, and so he's considered to be the patron saint. Very important figure, not just here, but all throughout South America.
Now, at the other end of the street, we have another church.
It's beautiful. It's the cathedral, and you can see all those beautiful pastel colors, and so that's kind of the iconic symbol of the city.
Yeah, beautiful. Now, the Inquisition came here, didn't it?
This was actually the seat of the Inquisition. Yeah, so the Palace of the Inquisition is just around the corner, and it's kind of a sort of a macabre place because a lot of really spooky things took place there.
Yeah, and some of them are on display.
True. True.
Yeah, we don't have time for that one today.
No.
We're going to keep walking.
Go.
Come on. All right, so this city really grew in prominence and in wealth, and a big example of that is what's behind us here, right?
Right, this is the Gold Museum, and during the time when the city was, all that gold and silver was coming out of Peru, it was all being stockpiled here, and this is just an example of a little bit of what it was the Spanish were melting down.
Yeah.
And this is primarily from the cheap check culture, but this is filled with really beautiful pieces of pre-Columbian gold and all kinds of art objects.
Now, they won't let us film in there, so we're not going in. But also, the fact that it grew in wealth and prominence and fame, it brought a lot of undesirables to this city, didn't it?
Now there were one or two people like Sir Francis Drake, some of the pirates, the privateers, the buccaneers, the corsairs that were always trying to capture Cartagena.
Now, Sir Francis Drake, probably one of the most famous of all pirates, he came here during what period?
1586.
1586, and he actually was able to hold the city ransom.
Yeah,
right?
and in fact he was the only one that did. He held it, and it was said that he probably would have tried to keep it forever, but his men started weakening because of the tropical heat. They had all kinds of other dysentery problems, but then he ended up giving it back to Spain for what would be about $200 million in ransom in today's money.
That's amazing.
That's
And because of that, and all the pirateers and privateers and corsairs that came here to attack the city, that is what led the city to look as it does today.
Absolutely. So they had to start building it up.
So it's really the most heavily fortified city in all of South America, right?
Yep. With the largest fortress in all of the Americas.
Yeah.
Yep.
All because of those pirates, those bad guys.
That's right. One in particular.
Yeah. Now the name of this square here is just quite beautiful.
Plaza Bolivar.
Okay. And that was named after?
Simón Bolívar, who happens to be in the middle of the square in another statue.
And that's because he
was one of the great liberators of South America, so there were three of them, and he actually liberated this part of the continent that originally was Gran Colombia, which is now Venezuela, Colombia, Ecuador, and Panama. So that was the very first independent nation in South America.
Yeah. So he really helped this country, Colombia, as we know it now, break away from colonial Spain.
Right,
is that right?
right. And he was born in what is now Venezuela, but most Colombians consider him to be a Colombian.
Yeah. And at the other end of the square is
the Palace of the Inquisition.
Yeah. So another place that people may wish to go to.
That's right.
All right. Let's continue to walk around. It's so nice. Yeah. All right, we are here for having arepas con queso, Speedy Gonzalez. And Terry, what is this?
It's actually white corn that's made sort of like a little patty, and then they split it, and he'll put a little butter, a little cheese, and then...
And you have these things here, right?
Honey, miel,
So
piña.
milk, pineapple, honey, ikimas.
Ikimas? I gotta have some
And that's,
ikimas.
no, that's and what else?
Oh, what's that?
and what else?
Oh.
This is cake.
Miel, honey.
Miel también.
What does he recommend?
¿Y cuál es su sugerencia? Su favorito.
Muy buena esta.
Esta.
Muy bonita?
Muy buena. And then sometimes I'll make this for breakfast with scrambled eggs or with shredded chicken, and they're quite tasty.
Gracias.
Hello.
And these are good to eat.
They're good to eat.
Yeah? All right.
They're very tasty. So I've actually never used napkin.
Arepas. I have two. I mean,
Oh no, I didn't know that you had one on there.
So these are
Yep.
called arepas, and he cooks them right here. And it's I don't know what it tastes like. It's different.
It's white ground
Yeah.
cornmeal. It's almost like a
I was gonna
cream
say
of
that,
wheat,
huh?
but it's white cornmeal.
Okay. Well, there we go. We'll
Tasty.
let's eat more. Muchas gracias.
Gracias, Speedy Gonzalez.
Speedy Gonzalez. All right. Thank you. Bye bye. Oh, there's more food. Hey, there's more food. Come on. All right, well, we've just come a short way to this row of kiosks, and they're all selling the same thing. And Terry, what are they selling?
It's all different kinds of candies and confections in different sizes, shapes, and colors. And I've never seen this, so I'm kind of anxious to give this a try. It's shredded coconut.
Anything safe to eat?
Yes,
Okay.
this is the yellow one is pineapple, the white one is coconut and milk, and then the pink one is guava.
You want to take the pineapple one?
You don't like pineapple?
I do. So let's see. It's okay.
I try the guava.
Very nice.
I love coconut, so
Sweet, shredded coconut. Maybe I do like pineapple.
well,
That's really very good. All right. So if you see the stuff along the way,
try it.
I think we paid $1 for 3 of these. Very nice, but it's very colorful. Nice people as well. So
Thank
good.
you. Sí, gracias.
Now I like this street. This is a great street, isn't it?
It is fantastic.
And the name of the street is.
Santo Domingo.
And I understand this is a street where a lot of the wealthy people live in the 1600s.
Yeah, but this particular house was built in 1740, and it was built by a gentleman that received a large parcel of land here. And you can see just all the details. Even I bet that chandelier is original. It's incredible.
And what it does is that it shows the old Spanish courtyards. If you go in, we have a spa, we have a hotel, restaurant, and you can go in and take a look, but you see really the old design of the beautiful courtyards.
It is nice, and you know that a lot of this all was fixed up as a result of the designation of this being a UNESCO Patrimonial Center. So that started in 1984, and a lot of all of this had been abandoned or neglected, and it's all fixed up, and it's really very chic. It's gorgeous.
Great street to walk on.
Yeah. Let's
There's many of these.
let's go. Let's look at more.
My favorite square because this is where you took us a couple years ago. We had a wonderful lunch right here.
That's right.
Yeah, what square is this?
This is the Santo Domingo Square, named for the church, which is the oldest church in town.
And there's also an important statue here.
Yeah, it's the...
Because they're selling it everywhere around here,
right.
every 2 minutes.
The reclining lady, and it's by Botero, and he was one of the most famous artists from Colombia.
Yeah. So we're coming here kind of late afternoon, but lunchtime, I imagine at night too, but lunchtime, great square for, something to drink, enjoy the music, the ambiance, restaurants.
It's lovely, lovely.
Shopping, you don't even have to move from here, and you can
The
shop.
The shops
come to you. It does, yeah. But it's just a lovely spot, lovely. So, well, I'd like to stay, but I guess we got to carry on. On we go. Well, at the beginning of the shot today, we talked about the walls and how amazingly fortified this city became. And why don't we take a walk up and take a look?
Yes.
Yeah, come on. I'll race you.
Oh, gosh. You've got longer legs.
Well, this is an amazing fortification, and up here where we are, I mean, it's a wonderful restaurant, bar. In fact, we saw a lot of great little dining establishments, but what a nice view here with the old cannons. And what is that? To me, it looks like a Filipino jeepney.
It's called a chiva, and they refer to them as the chévere chiva, which is sort of like the sweet chiva. And they're old buses. They take the walls off, and what they end up doing is they'll go around to neighborhoods and you can rent them for parties. And normally there'll be a band up on the top of it, and so they're playing away and you tell them which neighborhoods you want to go to, and then you just keep picking up your friends.
We're going to have to do that next time. But anyway, can you tell us something about the fortifications here?
Well, right now, of course, we're on the top of the wall, and these walls you can see are 50 feet thick. And they have all of the gun mounts all the way around. There's a couple of places where you can see what were called the garitas, the watchtowers. And of course, this was part of the 10 miles of wall that encircled the old city.
10 miles.
10 miles.
Wow.
Yeah, and they say that the amount of money that would have been spent at that time would have been comparable to about $3 trillion for everything that they did here.
And the thing is, it didn't stop them, did it?
They kept trying.
Yeah.
They kept trying.
But of course, Sir Francis Drake made it in, and then afterwards, then we had the English Armada.
Well, but the English Armada wasn't successful.
And that was actually before Drake?
No, it was after. That was 1741.
41, yeah.
And there's another fortress that is actually the largest one that's in the Americas, which is San Felipe de Barajas, the castillo, the castle, because it was so big. And out front, everybody wants to know about this crazy statue of this man that has one eye, one arm, and one leg. And he's actually the hero of Cartagena, because when Admiral Vernon came in 1741, he had 186 ships, 24,000 men on those ships, and then 12,000 additional infantry that were trying to take the city. Blas de Leso, with his one eye, one arm, and one leg, had 6 ships and 3,600 men. They fought for 42 days, and Blas de Leso defeated Vernon.
Wow.
Then unpacking.
Yeah. Now, really, we are on a peninsula here, aren't we?
Yeah.
So this is the furthest tip of the peninsula, and on this side is the Bay of Cartagena. The other side, where Vernon was and attacked, didn't he?
No, he came in
attacked
from
right here.
He came in from the open
Oh, he did?
Caribbean.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow. So,
They
these walls
probably-
really mean something.
Well, yeah, we're probably standing on a place where there was actual battle that took place, because this is one of the
You mean
portions
actual
that really,
cannons?
Well, yeah, but jutting straight out there, this would have been one of the really important strategic points.
Well, I think we need to sit down and take it all in. What a beautiful sight.
Great sunset.
Yeah, indeed. There is some nice shopping in here, isn't there? Some beautiful
Temptations.
boutiques.
Oh,
Very nice, upscale. This is fun.
this is beautiful.
All right, we're now at a very popular shopping stop. I think it was about 20 stalls here, right?
20 stalls, yes.
And what is this, or what was it?
Well, those stalls were actually jail cells.
Oh, really?
Las Bóvedas are the jail cells, and that's the name of this area. And so you can see that they still have all the iron doors on the front of the stalls or the stores now, but that all goes back to the 1600s. And this is actually part of the old wall. You can see that it's embedded in the wall.
Wow. I didn't realize this was actually part of that wall still.
Yeah.
Amazing. Now there's one place, well, a few places we're not going to get to today, but one are the tunnels.
Right.
You've been in the tunnels, I take it.
I have. The tunnels run all through the walls and then underneath the city as well. And they're fascinating because they have little niches in them, and it was set up so that it had perfect acoustics, and that if somebody was walking through the tunnels, they're also sort of angled, that the sound bounces through the tunnels, and you can actually hear footsteps and hear conversations over a half a mile away down the tunnel.
Really?
So a sentry could be kind of tucked away, and they could be monitoring what was going on. But you can get lost in the tunnels. There's so many of them. They actually go all the way out to the fortress.
Do they really? Yeah. And I guess that's one of the reasons they said why this really was almost impenetrable, right?
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
People would get lost or they get intercepted, and so there was no way over, under, or through.
Yeah. All right, well, let's continue on our journey. Have a little walk, little shop.
More hats.
More hats, more hats. Well, we'll come to our last stop of the day, but I just love
I know we're dancing and
the vibe of the city. Don't dance on camera, they always say.
no dance like that.
Yeah. But there's one place that we didn't get, but it's spectacular.
Right.
The view. Tell us what it is.
That's the Castillo de San Felipe de Barajas, which is the castle or the fortification of San Felipe, and it's actually the largest largest fortress in all of the Americas, Spanish fortress. It's absolutely massive, and that's actually hooked up with the wall portion of the old city too.
Is it really?
Yeah, so everything was connected, and this protected the city from the water as well as from inland approach. So it's huge.
Amazing. Well, let's see, what else didn't we get to today? We didn't get there.
La Popa.
La Popa, which is the other fortress, the monastery.
It's a monastery way up at the top of the hill. In fact,
right up there.
Right over there.
Yeah, there it is.
Yeah, you can see it in the distance.
All right.
And so, that was an Augustinian monastery, so you can see it from all over.
Yeah.
And then there.
And no public transportation up there. You got to get a taxi or a tour bus.
Right.
Also, a fun thing to do is to go about an hour from here. They have these mud baths. It's like the volcano mud bath.
I want to do that.
And you climb up and you climb down into a ladder, and the mud is over your head, but you just float and kind of drift in the mud, and you can get a mud massage, and then there's women who will take you to the lake and they'll wash you up, and it's a fun thing to do. But
How far away is that?
about an hour.
Gosh.
Yeah.
Well, next time.
Well, anyway, nice being back to Cartagena. The more I come here, the more I love it. And we're standing in front of a statue from in honor of the most famous poet from here, Luis Carlos Lopez. Lived in the late 1800s to the mid 1900s, and he wrote a poem. He said, basically, that says, Cartagena is like my old pair of shoes, meaning it's comfortable, familiar, and I have to say, I feel the same way.
I love it.
Terry, thanks for joining me here today.
My pleasure.
It was a great day. And to all of you, thanks for joining me on another Jamie's Journey. Glad you came along, and we hope you come again.